Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 149th Alumni Association Annual Meeting. I'd like to extend a special welcome to our newest alums, the class of 2021. My name is Maria Masaitis, class of 1973. I'm also a proud parent to Sophia Apostola, class of 2004, and president of the Alumni Association of Mount Holyoke College. I am so grateful that so many of you have been able to join us this year virtually. I miss being with you together in Chapin Auditorium and feeling the energy and excitement that descends upon campus during reunion weekend every year. When we met virtually last year, none of us could have predicted that we'd be doing so again this year, 1 year later. I'm grateful to the Alumni Association staff and to all of you for your efforts to make it possible for us to gather. I do look forward to the time when we can all be together again on campus. All of you here watching from your homes across the world continue to do Mount Holyoke proud in your local communities, in your families, on the national stage, and in the world. I am honored to represent you along with hundreds of volunteers and our board of directors, who I would normally ask to stand in a show of recognition. Today, I will send my gratitude to the hundreds of past and present board members of the Alumni Association and current and past trustees of Mount Holyoke College. I am also very pleased to introduce Ellen Hyde Pace, class of 1981, as the next president of the Alumni Association of Mount Holyoke College, as her term begins on July 1st. It is a great pleasure to be able to pass the baton to my successor, who I know will be an able leader for our community. Ellen has had a long career in communications. She is currently Global Managing Director at WPP Redfuse, the integrated communications team servicing Colgate Palmolive Work Wild. Ellen was a Mount Holyoke trustee for 10 years, serving as the chair of the Professional and Graduate Education Committee for 5 years, in addition to participating on other committees. Earlier today, the Alumni Association held a virtual meet and greet with Ellen, and we encourage you to view the recording of this event if you were unable to join us. I would like to extend a special welcome to the alums who are joining us from the class of 1946 for their 75th reunion, and greetings to the class of 2019 back for their second reunion. And finally, I would like to welcome their little class, the newest alums to our ranks, the members of the class of 2021. Our community is truly extraordinary. This past year, we launched a tool to further support connections amongst us. The Gates is an online platform exclusive to Mount Holyoke, where you can network, search and post to a job board, and join affinity groups. Through the Gates, students who are exploring professional opportunities and paths beyond Mount Holyoke can reach out to alums to ask questions and gain valuable insight from their experiences. If you had not had a chance to explore the space, we encourage you to do so. As part of Reunion, there will be a demo available at 2:30 p.m. today. Next, you will hear from Mount Holyoke President Sonia Stevens, who, as many of you know, has not only served as the college's leader since 2018, but she is also an honorary member of the class of 1955 and 1965. Thank you for joining us today. It is an honor to be part of this great community.
Thank you, Maria. One of the great sadnesses of this weekend is that we are not able to be together to celebrate your time as president of the association and the many accomplishments of your time in the role, as well as to embrace Ellen as she begins her tenure. I'm so pleased to welcome you all to this virtual reunion and back to Mount Holyoke, even if it is only in spirit and energy. and what spirit and energy we've already seen. There's so much disappointment on the part of so many that this is not the way it usually is. Not the same for our graduating seniors, not the same glorious commencement rituals and rites of passage, though we have tried to create some of the same spirit, as I hope you've seen from the photos of the recent senior celebrations and Mo Homecoming. And it's not the same not to be with you in person, to feel the connection that is so heartfelt, so enlivening, so inspiring when we gather on campus. I don't want to dwell on the loss, on what we're not able to enjoy, but rather to celebrate the engagement that we can enjoy safely, including many more members of our community than we might otherwise reach. The conversations, the laughter, the joy of being in community, however far apart we may be, remind us that we can shape and renew connection, even at a distance. And I'm immensely grateful for that and for you all, and know that the return to campus and to in-person events will be all the more special for this period of separation from both the beloved community and this campus. For now, though, I'm going to celebrate the ways in which you bring new energy and history to the college with every connection you make. Although this year we celebrate differently, you still come from near and far in both time and place, and we're so glad to celebrate your reunion with you, this connection we all share, and to joyously acknowledge the great lineage of accomplishment that you represent, sometimes generations within the same family, and that is Mount Holyoke's gift to the world. Mount Holyoke may not be exactly the same as it was when you were here as a student or even last on campus, but I hope you know that it's adapting to the challenges of the pandemic, this century, and the needs and interests of our students, even as it holds true to the age-old values of a liberal education and the academic excellence that shaped your futures. The recognition and reputation and rankings, including public acknowledgement of Mount Holyoke's extraordinary alum network, and the outstanding faculty, staff, and students are matched with a commitment to equity, access, and affordability that builds on that reputation and reach. Times change, especially recent times, and so must we, but there is something enriching and rewarding when past meets present and we connect across decades and shared experience. I always say this, but I've come to know Mount Holyoke differently through your stories, through your class histories, which is another cherished tradition of ours, and at the very heart of this annual meeting. You've covered some ground together over many years, and my hopes for each of you are that you will continue to find new connections to the college and to each other, as well as connections that reignite your memories and create renewed excitement, as well as an opportunity to marvel again at the joy and intellectual stimulation of your classmates and of this college. It's both through shared experience and through this powerful sense of the past in the form of voluntary and involuntary memory that we find connection and hope, that on this weekend, even through online celebrations, you will layer those experiences and memories with more of them in a present as enriching as the past, and find new meaning in Mount Holyoke and in your relationship to it. For there is no community or place like it. The rhythms and harmony of Mount Holyoke, its traditions and its treasures are what bind us all to it. While I don't have the honor of being an alum of Mount Holyoke, it is a special privilege to work with you and for this exceptional college. You are the living embodiment of the power of the Mount Holyoke experience, and you are our ambassadors to the wider world. You're our strongest advocates, spreading the word in your communities and workplaces about just what a remarkable place this is. So thank you. Thank you for your loyalty and your presence here today, for who you are, for all that you've done, for what you represent for Mount Holyoke and each other, and for your continued commitment to and support of the college. I wish you the most joyous of virtual celebrations this weekend and look forward to welcoming you back to campus just as soon as we can.
Thank you, Sonia. Now we begin the business portion of this meeting. The minutes of last year's annual meeting have been posted on the Alumni Association's website for your review. I would now like to turn your attention to a poll prompted on your screen to entertain a motion to accept the minutes. Please take the next few moments to vote your acceptance or rejection of the minutes as posted. Motion is accepted. And now I would like to introduce the chair of the Alumni Association's nominating committee, Danetta Beauchamp, class of 1988, who will be presenting the nominating committee's report.
Thank you, Maria. A notice about the slate of new board and committee members was published in the April Laurel Chain newsletter, and the full and updated text of both is available online. We will now vote to approve the proposed slate of officers and committee members. Before a motion to accept the slate is provided, I would like to present the 2021 nominees, who are as follows on the two slides you are about to see. You will now see the second and final poll prompted on your screen to entertain a motion to accept the slate of proposed officers and committee members. Please take the next few moments to vote your acceptance or rejection of the slate as posted. Thank you. The poll is now closed. Motion is accepted. We can't be together on campus today, and we couldn't be together for much of the past year, but we at the Alumni Association want to take a moment to acknowledge the ways so many of our alums across generations and all over the world found ways to stay connected. You hosted Zoom happy hours and weddings, cooking lessons and birthday celebrations. In a year like no other, you came together, just as you always have, in support of each other and in celebration of the Mount Holyoke connection we all share. We thank you and know that you will continue to thrive through your Mount Holyoke connections. And we look forward to more in-person celebrations as soon as it is safe to do so. We now start the part of the program that is a favorite for many of us, the reading of the class histories. Throughout the meeting, we will invite presidents from 6 different classes to offer us a perspective on the similarities among and differences between generations of Mount Holyoke graduates. As we read the class histories, we affirm oral histories as an important way of understanding the college's past and the experiences of alums in their own words and voices. We also acknowledge that histories may be written using language that is different than the language we now use at Mount Holyoke to ensure a just, safe, and welcoming community. Continuing to understand and document the experiences of alums, and continuing to interrogate our own practices as part of the ongoing work of the Alumni Association in close partnership with the college, and with the aim of better supporting our alums, students, faculty, and staff. We hope everyone in the audience today will reflect on these histories of our reunion classes with their full, in keeping with Mount Holyoke tradition, full curiosity and engagement. And we invite you to share your reflections and any feedback with us if you wish to do so. We will begin with 2 classes that span 50 years of Mount Holyoke tradition. Classes that have gotten to know each other over the past few years, and many of whom will meet face-to-face when they are able to be back on campus. This will be followed by a presentation by Cassandra Jolly, Vice President for College Relations. Reading now is Liz Behrens for the class of 1971, and Safa Jawad for the class of 2021.
Hi, I'm Liz Behrens, representing the class of 1971 at our 50th reunion. When we arrived on campus, Thurgood Marshall had just become the first Black Supreme Court Justice, while that same court struck down the ban on interracial marriage. Haight-Ashbury epitomized the era of free love, and the British Parliament had recently decriminalized homosexuality. As we settled into the rhythm of college life, the musical Hair premiered off Broadway just days before John McCain became a prisoner of war in Vietnam. At convocation, President Richard Guttell referred to us as uncommon women in this age of the common man. We were the first class to not have a 5-course load or Saturday classes. The 4-college consortium allowed us to take courses at Smith, UMass, and Amherst. Hampshire College would open before we graduated, making it a group of 5. When we arrived, all of the 7 sisters, 5 of the Ivy League schools, as well as many other elite colleges, were single sex. There were many rules and much oversight of our lives. Freshmen had limited overnights with parental permission necessary. Men were not allowed above the first floor. In most dorms, there was but 1 payphone per floor for off-campus calls and no locks on the doors of our rooms. Gracious living twice a week still existed, but the mandatory skirts were often topped by sweatshirts, adhering to the letter of the law, if not the spirit. During the 4 years we were on campus, Dr. Neil Bernard performed the first successful human heart transplant, and Golda Meir was elected the first female Prime Minister of Israel. Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert Kennedy were assassinated. Neil Armstrong was the first person to walk on the moon, and the original Woodstock Music Festival occurred in upstate New York. A massive oil spill occurred off the Santa Barbara coast, while the first African-American woman, Shirley Chisholm, who later taught at Mount Holyoke, was elected to Congress. Sesame Street debuted, as did Earth Day and Gary Trudeau's comic strip Doonesbury. The first Vietnam draft lottery determined who among our friends and family would be in jeopardy of being conscripted. The Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, was established, and the Occupational Safety and Health Act, OSHA, was signed into law. Widespread anti-Vietnam War protests were common, with 4 students killed and 9 more wounded by National Guardsmen at Kent State as they protested the U.S. invasion of Cambodia. The Pentagon Papers were leaked to the New York Times and published. We tested the waters of coeducation, visiting various men's colleges for a week, a semester, or a year. Some of us transferred to these schools, although many of us determined that we wanted to graduate from Mount Holyoke, despite having choices that did not exist when we applied for admission. We spent our free time playing bridge, sunning on Skinner Green, or hanging out at Glessie's, the CI, and the Odyssey bookstore. Judy Collins, Livingston Taylor, W.H. Auden, Williams Ruckelshaus, and Mark Rudd visited campus, greeted by various levels of enthusiasm. Some of us were politically active, many were not. By the time we graduated, house mothers had been replaced by faculty members or resident fellows in some dorms. Gracious living was gone, as were the smokers. Students were now allowed to smoke in their rooms. We had self-scheduled exams. The college had taken its first steps towards greater diversity, hiring faculty of color, creating a Black Studies major, and approving housing for a Black Culture Center. And the college was wrestling with the option of coeducation. 50 years later, it has become very clear to me that the college made the correct decision. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Safa Jawad and I am the class of 2021 president. Today I will read to you our class history. When we arrived on campus, it was a hot and sunny day in August of 2017 when each of us entered the Mount Holyoke College grounds for the first time as students. Some of our peers were celebrating Eid as all of us Green Griffins picked up our room keys and orientation packets and excitedly embarked on our journey at Mount Holyoke. Dressed in green, we walked to the amphitheater to partake in our first convocation where we heard the alma mater for the first time as it was sung by the choirs. We explored the greenhouse in the hopes of picking the best first-year plant to grow and develop alongside us during our time here. We shook hands with our advisors, introduced ourselves at the involvement fair, and received a loud, warm welcome from the upperclassmen in Chapman Auditorium during O101. During our time on campus, we experienced these historical international and domestic events. October of our first year here saw the spark of the Me Too movement across the country. It began with the victims of sexual assault and harassment by Harvey Weinstein, often referred to as as a known secret in Hollywood. In our sophomore year, this movement exploded out of the Hollywood film industry. It stretched across oceans and industries and around the world to give power to the voices of every person who had been sexually harassed or assaulted to stand up against their abusers. In our junior year, we watched as Triple E hit the Northeast in the fall and COVID-19 began its rampage through the world in the early spring. As we scrambled to pack up our rooms and make travel arrangements in early March of 2019, we hugged each other goodbye with a promise to meet up after the danger had passed. And now, in 2021, as accessibility to vaccines is increasing, there finally seems to be light at the end of this long tunnel. This is how we spend our free time on campus. We walked into Super Blanche for the first time alongside all of our friends and peers, wandered into the pub for a smoothie, and fantasized about coming back for a drink in the same spot as a senior. All glammed up, we headed up to Chapman for our first class dance, Snowball, where we danced the night away to Nicki Minaj and posed for pictures in the photo booth. We passed rainy days away creating exciting projects from scratch using wood, cloth, and limitless other materials in the makerspace. We hiked mountains, took photos, and ate ice cream with President Stevens on Mountain Day each fall. In the winter, we built snowmen on the green, drank hot cocoa, and sled down Dell's Hills. We donned flower crowns, glittery tattoos, and danced the maypole on Panga Day each spring. We took internships, completed research alongside professors, and gained valuable experience in our field of choice. As we graduate from the comfort and safety of our living rooms, it is strikingly obvious that the world we are entering into as graduates is significantly changed from the one we came in with as first-year students. The pandemic showed us how to keep connected through social media, help each other through countless Zoom classes, and how to persevere through anything that gets thrown at us. These invaluable skills are the ones that will allow us to go our separate ways as alumni, but remain connected to one another as well as to Mount Holyoke. The last 4 years have shown us that no matter how much the world changes, Mount Holyoke forever shall be our Mount home. Thank you very much.
Greetings. I'm delighted to be able to join you today in solidarity and celebration. My name is Cassandra Jolly. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve Mount Holyoke as Vice President for College Relations. Now, typically I would deliver this address standing on a stage in Chapin Hall, looking out at a sea of incredible Mount Holyoke graduates, dressed in your whites with an array of accessories in your class colors, from red feather boas to lovely blue bags, to yellow superhero capes, to giant green sunglasses, to purple glitter headbands. And while I'm disappointed not to be with you in person, the memory of reunions past, and most certainly the anticipation of those yet to come, are with me now. And while the past year has been filled with uncertainty, what remains certain is the strength of Mount Holyoke and the alum connection. I have been so heartened by your support and encouragement as we reimagined our work to meet this moment. And I have been impressed by the creative ways you are supporting each other in the college, connecting virtually from around the globe, sharing expertise through webinars and virtual events, and strengthening our networks. As my mother used to say, I am pleased but not surprised. Therefore, that Mount Holyoke was recently rated by the Princeton Review as one of the top private colleges for alum networks and as #1 for making an impact. Your passion, dedication, and generosity continue to sustain the Mount Holyoke community. Together, alums, your association, and the college act to ensure absolutely that Mount Holyoke students are able to achieve their full potential and to bring the gifts that have been nurtured and cultivated here at the college into the world. We are seeing signs of the long-term impact of the pandemic on our global communities, and we know it will take creative problem solvers, critical thinkers, and resilient and adaptive leadership to navigate what's ahead. Thankfully, Mount Holyoke students graduate with these skills and many more. As the graduate of two institutions that serve women and serve other people marginalized on the basis of gender, I too have had the great privilege of a transformational experience, of being among peers and mentors who on so many occasions saw more potential, intellectual beauty, and humane gifts in me than I saw in myself. The Lincoln School and Simmons University, where I joined the community as a first-generation college student, both helped me nurture an independent voice and earn an independent livelihood. So as I now close out my 5th year here at Mount Holyoke, experiencing a full reunion cycle, I now fully understand why there is no place like Mohome. The shared desire to have a positive impact in the world, the high expectations we have for ourselves and each other that keep us striving for more, and the sense of leadership instilled in every student, alum, community member, and goose demonstrate on a daily basis the power of the Mount Holyoke education. I have appreciated the joyful, and I mean that, the joyful opportunity to advance our shared mission by stewarding your investment in our community and by helping to tell our collective story. So today, on behalf of the college, and most importantly, on behalf of the students who benefit from your gifts, I thank you for all that you do for the college. I know this past year has been trying, so it is with deep gratitude and appreciation that at this moment, I recognize and celebrate the extraordinary, generous financial contributions that our community has made so far this fiscal year. One thing we know for sure is that scholarship aid has never been more important in the lives of our exceptional students and in our ability to grow and evolve and meet the moment. At Mount Holyoke, where the wealth of student perspectives and lived experiences contribute as much to a student's growth and evolution as the classes they take, this is particularly important. Mount Holyoke's dynamic community is one of our biggest points of pride. So making sure that this transformative education is accessible to all talented students is not just a priority, it's an imperative. To support this imperative and grow critical endowments for financial aid, earlier this year, incredible champions of Mount Holyoke initiated a historic Meet the Moment Scholarship Challenge. Trustee Liz Gross, class of '79, and her husband Phil Gross pledged a record-breaking $10 million gift in support of scholarship aid. And Nancy Nordoff, class of '54, made a generous $1 million gift to round out that pool. In addition to this initiative to bolster our endowment, trustees Bess Weatherman, class of '82, and Monica Landry, class of '90, each committed $250,000 in matching funds to support critical current use gifts via the Mount Holyoke Fund Scholars Program. To date, as part of the Meet the Moment initiative that I've just described, we have raised more than $20 million for support of scholarship aid through the endowment, and $2.7 million specifically for the scholarship aid via the Mount Holyoke Fund. Furthermore, driven by the Meet the Moment initiative, it's my pleasure to share that to date this fiscal year, 8,775 alums, family members, and friends have made gifts and pledges to the college, and if I had a drum roll, I would do it right now, to the college totaling $54.4 million. And we're still counting. The fiscal year does not end until June 30th, and at that amount, this is already one of the most successful fundraising years in our history. Reunion classes have demonstrated their loyal support with gifts totaling $7.5 million. And of special importance, particularly as we navigate the consequences of the pandemic on the college's annual operating budget, are those gifts to the Mount Holyoke Fund, which support the areas of greatest need and potential each and every year. To date, 8,289 alums have joined together to invest an extraordinary $9.4 million, and have I said it yet, and counting, in the Mount Holyoke Fund, all in support of current students. To be sure, the fact that we give to our alma mater consistently is equally important to how much we give. The Laurel Chain Society honors those donors who, year after year, make gifts of any amount to any fund to support the college and its students. We are grateful to all of you whose consistent support has been and will continue to be critical to advancing our mission. While we're all gathered virtually, we must take the opportunity to honor and recognize the remarkable 50th reunion class of 1971, whose affection, dedication, and respect for Mount Holyoke is palpable and tangible. For sure, the 50th reunion gift effort is a labor of love, sustained by its own large, enthusiastic, and seemingly tireless group of volunteers. To that end, I would like to extend my thanks and congratulations to the great class of 1971 50th reunion gift team, with special recognition for the 3 co-chairs and my friends, Marcy Wilkov-Waterman, Emily Young, and Andrea Lang. During these past 5 years, your inspirational leadership has guided your class and the college to record-breaking success. I'm pleased to share that during the past 5 years, the class of 1971 has raised $2.56 million for the Mount Holyoke Fund, setting a new record of generosity for the 50th reunion class gift. Looking beyond the Mount Holyoke Fund, the class has raised a total of $8.5 million for all purposes at Mount Holyoke. And furthermore, the class of 1971 can boast a 5-year giving participation rate of 83.5%. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much to the class of 1971 for your generous and loyal support. Each year at Reunion, we also celebrate the fundraising achievements of reunion classes with the awarding of the Sphinx, Pegasus, Lion, and Griffin Awards. This year, we are honoring and awarding the top 3 classes in each category. These accolades have been earned for fundraising achievements this year and for gains made in the years since your last reunion in 2016. Here is a look at the Sphinx Award winners. Here is a look at the Pegasus Award winners. Here's a look at the Lion Award winners. And here's a look at the Griffin Award winners. I cannot overstate how grateful the entire campus community is for your support. Thank you so much. Please find a link in the chat box for additional celebration of reunion fundraising success. Last, but certainly not least, there is a special place in our hearts for those of you who step forward, not only with your own gifts, but who agree to take on the joyful and often challenging work of encouraging others to invest. So allow me to thank all of our volunteers, head class agents, and gift committees in particular today. I'm going to lead my own clapping session here. In a year of uncertainty, knowing that we could rely on you, our alums, the living embodiment of all that is special about Mount Holyoke, for your stalwart support, your sage advice and loyalty to one another and to the college has been reassuring and inspiring. But better for you to hear these words of thanks from our amazing students. While we cue a special video, I thank you for this opportunity to recognize your philanthropic investments in Mount Holyoke and to serve your incredible alma mater. Following the video, you will hear from the classes of 1996 and 1956 as they read their class histories.
Because of you.
Because of you.
Because of you. I've been able to thrive in a community that encourages me to ask questions.
I am inspired to make a difference in the world through international relations.
I've been able to find my voice as a leader and help develop communities abroad.
Because of you, I know that any field of study is open to me.
I don't have to choose between being a scholar and an artist.
I am able to cultivate my passions for both neuropsychology and social justice.
I have found lifelong friends and mentors through music.
I have been able to forge my own path within social justice and politics.
Because of you, I know I will continue to be a leader even after I leave Mount Holyoke.
I am determined to carry Mount Holyoke values into the world.
Thank you for being a role model, for being an example of all that I can do with my life. And because of you, I have so many incredible examples of how I can put my education into action.
Thank you for paving the way for students like me.
We appreciate everything you do for Mount Holyoke College.
Thank you.
Class of 1996. We saw President Bill Clinton into the White House during our first year, and Alec Baldwin campaign for Ted Kennedy in Clapp. We watched in awe during our senior year as the O.J. Simpson verdict was read, and on our way out, we successfully lobbied for the inclusion of a Muslim blessing at our graduation. We heard Liz Kennan say pusillanimous and penumbra during convocation speeches, and Professor Littman sing about mud, mud, glorious mud. We watched Friends, ER, Seinfeld, and Beverly Hills 90210, and enjoyed princess bars at M&C's. We dined in our dorms, worked the bell desk, carried keys, and received our first email addresses. We called friends and family on landlines and had enormous long-distance phone bills. Most of us used computers in Dwight or the dorms, and we had to sign up for them on paper during finals. We got printed newspapers delivered to us in the dorms and bought music CDs from paper catalogs. Student work was paid about $5 an hour, and with that, we could buy a pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream and still have money left over. Main Moon and The Thirsty Mind opened at the Commons, and Ellen DeGeneres was still in the closet when we graduated. But most important, we formed intellectual connections and close friendships that will last a lifetime.
My roommate from Houston, Texas, and I settled into our temp double. Bunk beds and enough floor space for 2 dressers and 2 desks. 12 junior class members lived with us. They organized activities, oversaw the dorm's rules, and were exemplary leaders. By dinner time on day 1, we were introduced to a dining room ritual, finding our cloth napkins stuck into cubby holes in the rack that stood by the door. Fire drills were explained and carried out. Harry Truman was U.S. President when we entered college. The 1952 presidential campaign was underway. Dwight Eisenhower versus Adlai Stevenson. Princess Elizabeth was coronated as Queen of England 1 year after the death of her father, King George VI. The world's first nuclear submarine, the USS Nautilus, was launched. The first polio vaccine by virologist Dr. Jonas Salk was introduced. The Revised Standard Version of the Bible and Hemingway's Old Man and the Sea were published. The APGAR score was applied at the births of all newborn babies, a visual method to quickly summarize the health of a newborn. Dr. Virginia APGAR, a 1929 graduate of Mount Holyoke College, developed the assessment tool. 1953, Eisenhower was sworn in as U.S. President and Dag Hammarskjöld as the United Nations Secretary General. Ian Fleming introduced Agent 007 in his first James Bond novel. Sir Edmund Hillary's British expedition was the first to reach the summit of Mount Everest. Dr. Albert Schweitzer was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Playboy magazine had its first issue. In 1954, the Montgomery bus boycott was the first major event in the civil rights movement. Gasoline, 23 cents a gallon. Minimum wage, $1. In 1956, Congress passed the Federal Highway Act, creating the Interstate and Defense Highway System. The class of 1956 graduates on June 1st, and Barbara Beers is married immediately following in the Abbey Chapel. Oops. Sorry about that. Students often met for coffee at the CI, which is College Inn. While many students played bridge in the smoker, I needed to spend time in the lab with my zoology course, weekly labs and anatomical drawings from our dissections. No one was allowed a car on campus except following spring vacation, senior year, if you had access to a car. Some classmates would bus into Holyoke while others stopped at the halfway house for hamburgers and French fries. Only one television set existed on the campus, in Wilbur, a lounge located in the basement of Mary Woolley Hall. I can't remember ever watching TV, however.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Liz Learman. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Interim Executive Director of the Alumni Association. Thanks to all of you for joining us today. We're delighted that the fact that we've been able to welcome alums of all class years to some of our events means that registration totals for this year's reunion are among the highest we've ever recorded. In fact, yesterday we reached 1837 registrations for this weekend, a milestone that resulted in a staff cheer over email that I know you would all echo were we together today in Chapin Auditorium. It's important and a great pleasure to be with so many of you as we present the Alumni Association Awards to some very deserving alums. Your collective recommendations are critical to our process of identifying candidates, and the volunteer award committees take tremendous care and conduct extensive research in selecting awardees. Today, I will be announcing the award recipients in each category, but to learn more about each recipient, please read their full citations on the Alumni Association's website. We will also honor them in the Summer Alumni Quarterly, which will be published online in July, and we will send each award recipient their citation and award in the mail. The remarkable alums receiving achievement awards have truly embodied the values and virtues set forth by the college through their accomplishments and service to society. This award recognizes work that exemplifies the ideals of a liberal arts education, that demonstrates professional distinction, sustained commitment and/or creativity, and that reflects the vision and pioneering spirit of Mary Lyon. For their outstanding achievements, the Alumni Association is pleased to present the Achievement Award to the following alums. Anne Merchant Bosgard, class of 1961. Judy Richmond Walters, class of 1966. Laverne Berry, class of 1971. Barbara Moakler Byrne, class of 1976. Susanna Sirkin, class of 1976. And Sherry Burr, class of 1981. This year, we are recognizing two remarkable graduates with the Alumni Medal of Honor, presented to alums for their eminent service promoting Mount Holyoke and the Alumni Association through consistent and broad-based leadership, service, and dedication over an extended period of time. The Alumni Association is pleased to present the 2021 Alumni Medal of Honor to Rynette Northcross Hurd, class of 1971, and Nancy Bellows Perez, class of 1976. This year, I am proud to present the Elizabeth Topham Kennan Award for outstanding contributions to the field of education to a passionate supporter of a liberal arts education and champion for educational access. For her tireless commitment, the Alumni Association is pleased to present the Elizabeth Topham Kennan Award to Diana Wenzel, class of 1986. I'll now recognize the recipients of the Loyalty Award and the Volunteer Leadership Award, the latter recognizing an alum who has graduated in the last 15 years. These amazing volunteers serve on committees, organize club and class events, raise funds for Mount Holyoke, help plan reunions, and much, much more. For their exceptional loyalty, the Alumni Association is pleased to present the Loyalty Award to the following alums. Joan Hartman, class of 1951. Astrid Jensen Berkson, class of 1956. Bobsy Albert Kaufman, class of 1956. Mary Ginn Wineland, class of 1961. Martha Mason Denzel, class of 1966. Alice Capson, class of 1971. Meg Gear Harris, class of 1971. Lori Bent, class of 1976. Susan Mann Witten, class of 1981. Tara Mia Payon, class of 1981. Nina Paisley Hoban, class of 1986. Shannon Dalton Giordano, class of 1991. Naomi Barry Perez, class of 1996. Krisha Lisette Vion, class of 1996. And Dioli Christopoulou, class of 2001. And finally, the Volunteer Leadership Award goes to Maria Tesla from the class of 2011. Finally, I would also like to recognize this year's Mary Lyon Award recipients: Dr. Jadalis Ruiz, Francis Perkins Scholar and class of 2008, Elizabeth Teig, class of 2010, and Tammy Popo, class of 2012, who were all recognized earlier this month during the Student Leadership Award virtual celebration. To all awardees, congratulations, and thank you also very much for representing Mount Holyoke so well in the world. We celebrate you and thank you for demonstrating to all of us the value and beauty of a Mount Holyoke education. To everyone with us today, thank you for joining us. We are grateful to be with you. We hope you are well, and we look forward to when we can all be together again on our beautiful campus. Before we adjourn, we will hear from two classes who will share their memories of campus decades ago, the classes of 1951 and 1961, followed by a performance by the M&C's student a cappella group as they lead us in singing the alma mater to close. A special showing of the virtual Laurel Parade will follow. You can also view the parade at your leisure on the Alumni Association reunion website. Here now is Mary Ginn Wineland, class of 1961, followed by Joan Hartman, class of 1951, who will share their respective class histories.
Hi, I'm Mary Ginn Wineland, president of the class of 1961. You're about to hear our class history read at our 60th reunion by Zoom, which took place on May 22nd, 2021. When we arrived on campus, the Soviet Union had launched Sputnik, Orville Faubus had called the National Guard to prevent 9 African-American students from integrating Little Rock Central High School, and we were shortly to face the flu and quarantine in the gym. Those were fun times. We were welcomed by our big sisters, learned the required songs, which we had to sing on demand, and learned to live for milk and cookies. We were President Gattel's first class, i.e. the original class of uncommon women. We experienced gracious living and payphones down the hall. Sitting bells was an important part of all this. During our time on campus, Fidel Castro launched a revolution, and NASA is founded to start the Mercury project to take the first Americans into space. Alaska and Hawaii became the 49th and 50th states. We were lucky to hear in person Robert Frost, Eleanor Roosevelt, John Updike, and lastly, Justice William Douglas as our graduation speaker. We celebrated 4 lovely mountain days, played bridge in the smoker, and met new professors and new friends every year. We experienced the first Father's Day weekend with our own Diana as May Queen. It was a time of travel and opening up, our horizons. We spent free time on campus navigating strict parietals and curfews, enjoying relaxing at the CI and Glessie's, in the smoker watching the Nixon-Kennedy debates and organizing protests against chapel and assembly requirements. We were agitating to let seniors have dorm keys, gasp, which nearly produced a heart attack by the dean. We were the first class to experience graduation in the brand new amphitheater, and finally, the submergence in the traditions of Mount Holyoke produced 400 young women to spread widely the dignity and idealism of their alma mater.
Class of 1951 history. Some members of the class of 1881 must have been at our commencement in 1951. I'll own that I can't remember a thing about them. Perhaps I can do better for the class of 1951. When we entered Mount Holyoke in 1947, tuition, room, and board together were $1,200. When we left in 1951, $1,600. Back then, that was a lot of money. The minimum wage was $1 an hour. We were paid 35 cents an hour for on-campus work. Mount Holyoke was smaller then. 241 of us graduated. Another 94 left before graduation. Our Mount Holyoke reflected the austerities of World War II. Many of us lived in what were called temp doubles. They had housed waves in training during the war. 2 of us lived in a room designed for 1. It was furnished with a double-decker bed, 2 bureaus, 2 desks, 2 bookcases, and 2 uncomfortable wooden chairs. We shared a closet. Our electronics were a desk lamp, probably a radio, and perhaps an electric clock. Mine was wind up. It ticked loudly and spent a lot of time muffled under my pillow. We got cinnamon-flavored margarine on our morning toast, though butter was no longer rationed. At lunch and dinner, we got butter, but only half a pat, a daily conundrum to squander it all on 1 roll and taste it, or spread it thinly on 2 rolls and barely notice it. With luck, one's waitress could snatch butter from an unoccupied table, but only if she got there before someone from the kitchen staff poised to retrieve it. Yes, we had waitresses, scholarship students who needed money. Both lunch and dinner were sit-down meals. Dorms had smokers, and many of us smoked. Starting to smoke was a ritual of maturity. A pack of cigarettes cost 40 cents. The Surgeon General's report lay in the future. There we also drank coffee, played bridge, and knit. Some of us could do all 4 at once. And there some of us assembled early to write the many papers we were assigned, leaving roommates to sleep. We had telephones on each floor and one at the bell desk at the front door. We were paid to sit bells, that is, to watch the front door and take messages. We were allowed to wear pants, they were mostly jeans, and Bermuda shorts during the day, but were required to wear skirts to dinner. President Habs set forth in morning chapel the difference between a Bermuda short allowed and a short short disallowed. For phys ed, we wore short cotton button down the front dresses in our class colors with matching underpants. In yellow, the class of 1951 looked like a bunch of daffodils. We dressed up for Wednesday evening and Sunday noon dinners with stockings and heels. Wednesday dinner added candlelight and faculty guests. It was gracious living, according to the college, cautious living, according to the cook in my dorm, who rivaled Sheridan's Mrs. Malaprop in her massacres of the English language. We had classes 6 days a week and took 5 3-hour courses a semester. Those who came from small prep schools found the world of the college vast. Those who came from large urban high schools intimate. Regardless, our teachers knew us and we knew them. Each of them, it seemed to us, considered our time as more or less exclusively hers, occasionally his. Women were a significant faculty presence, more so than now. Some departments were reluctant to hire men, and Mary Woolley, Mount Holyoke's long-serving and distinguished president, declined to set foot on campus again after the trustees hired Roswell Ham as the college's first male president in 1939. Fair enough. At that time, men's colleges and major coeducational universities mostly refused to hire women. We worked hard, undistracted by television, not to mention the internet, and got an absolutely first-rate education. Plain living was offset by high thinking. Our education was the luxury item. Parietal rules were strict. We had to sign out to go beyond the boundaries of South Hadley. We needed parental permission for an overnight. One demerit was the penalty for an omission or mistake on a sign-out card. We lived apart from the world, but not insulated from it. The college brought notable speakers to campus. In 1948, the State of Israel was established and Harry Truman was elected president. In 1949, both NATO and the People's Republic of China were established. In 1950, shortly after the Korean Peninsula was divided into North and South, hostilities broke out. By the time we graduated, our male contemporaries, drafted, were fighting on the front lines. We seem to have been more or less at war ever since. But at home, shortly after we graduated, Dwight Eisenhower was elected president, and we entered the placid, somewhat boring Eisenhower years. At this, our 70th reunion, those of us left return, at least electronically, to Mount Holyoke. We remain, after 70 years, her loyal daughters. Thank you.
O Mount Holyoke, we pay thee devotion in the fervor of youth that is strong. The courage of right is thy garland, our lives' alma mater, thy song. So from east and from west now we gather, and united in firm love to thee. All years are as one, and their loyal pledge Mount Holyoke forever shall be. Mount Holyoke forever shall be. Through the heart of a new day's endeavor, breathes the life of the old days that live. For what thou hast given we honor, but we love thee for what we can give. So when soft in a whisper thou callest, for the treasures unlocked by thy key, our achievements, our hopes, and our glorious faith shall answer Mount Holyoke to thee